All right. It's late. It's almost 1 a.m. and I'm only awake because I got paged for work, but I happened to see on Twitter they've announced some big changes, so I absolutely have to jump on this. I'm just so excited. I'm genuinely I was in the foulest mood up until I saw this, and then I was just antsy to get off of the P1 call. So um, GGG has announced some very cool changes that are coming our way. Um, and they're things that everyone, including myself, have has been really hoping for and asking for. It's very cool. So number one, dodge roll changes. Everyone, I mean, we've all seen the videos and the clips on Twitch of people just getting locked in the corner and gang banged by a bunch of little guys. It sucks. It's awful. They are making changes to mitigate this. Player size is now set to 0 units while dodge rolling instead of one, and some smaller monsters can now be pushed while dodge rolling. This includes monsters such as the adorned beetles in Keth. So, boom, this should result in you getting trapped less often. That's what we are hoping for. Obviously, we'll see how that actually plays out once we get these patches live, but that's big. That's huge. We love this. You can still get trapped. A player of size zero can still not phase through monsters. So not some people were asking for, can we phase through monsters? That's not what we're getting, but um, uh, it can get through even the smallest gap between them. So as long as the monsters aren't smashed up against each other, you will be able to get through. So that's actually kind of a key distinction there. If it's a wall, if it's a flat wall of monsters, you're still stuck. But if there's like a tiniest little gap, you can roll through it. So it gives you a little bit of counterplay to the old pygmy gangbang, as they call it from the Dark Souls days. Um, so next up, checkpoint changes. This is also big. The maps are big and they can get tedious to retread over and over again. Um, but again, it's funny. I watched actually Asmongold's video about this earlier today, or I guess technically it's yesterday at this point. And I kind of agreed with him that like it is good to have an immersive level, right? Like this. How did he phrase it? A level that transcends the feeling of being a game level and like actually feeling like it's a world you're a part of, which is what I want. I want them to keep that, but put this back in. This is my other headset here. Um, but you don't want to keep that at the expense of feeling lousy to play around. So you're going to be able to click on a checkpoint will allow you to teleport to other checkpoints in that area that are explored. Then they've added more checkpoints as well. Entrance and exits of zones to allow for teleportation, and to the midpoint of the first dreadnought area. Super cool. And they're again they're probably for all of these things, it kind of goes without saying they're going to keep their eyes open and see what else needs to change. It is early access after all, so that's kind of a thing that they're going to be doing. Now, next up is item changes, and this is going to be big. People are talking about the game's not rewarding enough. They do want to be very careful when adjusting because it's very hard to reduce drops. So it's one of those things where it's like the cat can't be put back in the bag, right? Like you can't unopen Pandora's box. So they don't want to overcorrect too much. They want to make sure that they do it little bit by little bit and see what ways they can handle this. So number one, rare monsters, right? Um, Rare monster bonus, rarity bonus per rare mod has been doubled. 10% quality bonus per rare mod increase the chance of rare monsters inherently having more modifiers as you progress through the end game. Right, so this is great. Again, once you reach that end game, you're going to start getting more and more opportunities to get more drops from rare monsters. This didn't affect the campaign much because there's more unique bosses, increasing the overall amount of drops, but it is especially noticeable when playing the end game where unique monsters are less common. That's great, right? So, again, this specific change won't be super impactful for those of us still playing through the campaign or while you're playing through the campaign, but more so during the end game. So these changes will cause rare monster rewards to naturally scale up as you get to higher levels because the number of mods a monster can have increases throughout the campaign and into end game. Right. In addition, many other forms of map juicing will indirectly cause rare monsters to have more mods as well, increasing the rewards of these mechanics too. Also note the change below. Make sure to each. Also note the change below to make sure each map has a minimum number of rares. Right, so they're talking about the more stuff that they've brought in. Currency changes. This is big to me. Um, we felt players were not getting enough of a certain type of currency either in the early game or to sustain adding mods to maps. So, and I think this is something that a lot of players, especially newer players, might not wrap their head around, right? Because you get these, orb of transmutation, orb of, X, Y, and Z, and you get a ton of them and they're dropping all the time, but they feel kind of rare too. So, like, some people might be like, oh, I want to save this for for a rainy day. But I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, building your own gear, especially in the early game, is a very viable and recommended strategy. So, I'm not going to go over the super super details here, but each of these is a nice buff to the amount of currency being dropped for us, again, especially in the early game, is really going to be kind of a game changer. And this is what I was hoping for. I think this is a better overall path to go on than just increase drops across the board. And part of that is because it kind of trains players as well. Like I said, I think a lot of newer players don't really grasp the value of the currency, and it's definitely good to give them more early on so they can kind of wrap their head around it. Map mod changes. Again, all of this stuff is just making maps, as you push higher difficulties, they become more valuable. So rarity mods have been increased by 2.5 times. Quantity mods have had extra rarity added to them. We removed the bottom tier of some mods. We're much more likely to roll modifiers that affect drop or pack size rather than less useful mods. And of course, they've identified some areas are not being affected by the increased number of monster packs mod as they should be, which is that's a bug, so they're fixing that in a later patch. So they also found a bug. Cool. You're getting unlucky drop protection, right? So no more than 50% of a unique monster's drops could be gold, and act bosses and map bosses will always drop at least one rare, which is nice. Except I just defeated a map boss or an act boss earlier today, and I didn't get any rares, so that's unfortunate. But still, good to know that they're fixing this going forward. And again, these first changes, the first of these changes is more significant than it first appears because players can't see the difference between normal and rare gold piles. You will get more equipment and currency items, which can take more advantage of the rarity increases that unique monsters provide. Yeah, so it's they're basically saying, like, you get a rare gold pile, it still doesn't look that great. Whereas when you get more equipment and currency, it feels great and it helps more, I think. So they also found this bug with click to move. I think, is it a bug? Is it an issue? It says that there was an issue, so I think it's a bug where the move only command was name locking. This would often result in your character confusingly attacking in an unexpected direction while holding down this action. So move only no longer name locks. So yeah, that's a bug that they have already fixed. This is not or is coming in the next patch whenever that drops, which is presumably soon. And then at endgame maps, rare monsters now appear on the mini map when there are 200 monsters remaining instead of 50, so you're much less likely to miss a rare monster on your map, which is awesome. And many maps have additional rare monsters added to them to make sure there are a minimum number in every map type. Again, all of this is just contributing to the idea that the loot. The loot flow felt slow and stifled, and they're trying to correct for that without going overboard. Overall, I think this is great. I think the biggest ones, like the ones that were like everyone was kind of like, this needs to change, is the checkpoint changes and the dodge roll changes. Those two alone are huge. Then for me, the next most important one is the currency change, and then all of the rare monster changes are phenomenal, very welcome. And I agree. I want to go back. I just want to focus right here. This part right here is so important to me. This is an area that we have to be very careful when adjusting because it's very hard to reduce drop rates if we increase them by too much. And I want to clarify, just for anyone who doesn't wrap their head around that, that's because players are fickle, and if you start taking away their fun, players get up in arms about the fun police, even if they're like, well, this is unbalanced, this is not the way we wanted it, we overcorrected too much. People will just start calling them the fun police. So fun detected, right? Blizzard gets it all the time, arguably for good reason, but that's what they want to avoid. So overall, patch notes are phenomenal, super hype, and I'm glad I got to jump on this so quickly. Nice videos under 10 minutes, uploading it ASAP. Folks, have a good one. Check me out on Twitch. I'll be streaming a lot this week, hopefully, doing YouTube shorts and all that good stuff. And other than that, have a good one. Peace out, and I hope I get to sleep through the night.